Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It's Ben and Chris here for Outer Room Transmission. This is episode 197. This week, we are finally getting to our first half Tales of the Underworld discussion. Tonight, we're talking about Asajj Ventress, the 3 shorts that were released on May the 4th. But of course, it was released during the Andor season, so we had to put this off for a while, but now things have calmed down, so we're going to start playing catch up starting with these episodes. So we're going to get into that, but we're also going to get into some very interesting video game news all this week on the episode. Ben, how's it going? I know you said something about there's another New Hope Easter egg or something you were wanting to talk about that you forgot about last week, because we went through the ringer last week about that one creative that was just spilling the beans on a lot of things. Christian. That guy. So what else?
Yeah. So all right. Well, if anybody didn't realize, today's actually the 48th anniversary of A New Hope. Today's the actual day all of this started, May 20th. I think you're muted.
Yeah, some of that audio actually went completely gone because I did not actually add the audio input capture on that. So we might have to just say that all over again, because I'm actually playing producer at the same time because Milton is here. So I'm trying to redo all the frames as we're recording.
All right, that's fine.
It's all good. Let me try
to from the jump.
Yeah. The stream is going to look absolutely crappy now because everybody's seeing my behind the scenes thing as I'm flustering to get this stuff going. It's all good though. We're gonna make do with this. Sorry about that, guys, but we're gonna pick up from everything you just said again about the whole rolling in the dust.
Yep.
I'll cut it. Let's see. It's at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. Anyways, so I was saying, like, the real funny thing about Alec Guinness in A New Hope, was the fact that the whole sequence where he goes and starts walking up to Luke when he's passed out from the Tuskens and scares him off and everything. It's funny, looking at the sequence now, because, last week when I was asking Roger Christian those questions and asking him about, Alec Guinness on that movie and him being so serious and yada yada, well, Roger Christian was like, yeah, he was serious when he was doing his job, but, he was still having a good time as well. And one of the things he pointed out was that whole sequence. He actually, like Alec pointed out to George and the costume people and the other folks on set, like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Like this guy's tunic and cloak look like it's like brand new right off the shelf of the store, basically. For him walking through the desert. So he said all of a sudden, this guy just goes and just drops and rolls on the ground like 5 or 6 times and just like, gets his cloak all dusty and stuff. And he's like, okay, now this looks realistic and looks good to go. And, then they went about the shoot. And it's cool hearing like a story like that about someone we view so serious and like so like stoic and everything when it comes to like references to him and his Star Wars relationship. Then you hear a story like that and you're like, all right, yeah, this guy wasn't just a, complete robot.
Oh yeah, no, it's you have the a British actor like him stars in a lot of things like Lawrence of Arabia and all these different things, right? The last thing you expect is a high accolade actor to get his hands dirty like that. So really good stuff. I've never heard that one before.
Oh yeah, it was a great experience and like. It's always just good getting more and more information about these original movies. I mean, that's one thing we always joke around about. When you watch these movies, you always find something new or hear something new about them or whatever. And this was another example of that.
Yeah, we actually have our third member here. Joined a couple minutes ago as I'm scrambling to get things going. How's it going, Milton?
I'm good, guys. Glad to be back on the podcast. Yeah, technical difficulties, I guess, tonight. But, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some Star Wars. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I was like, oh, it'll be so easy to bring Milton in. And then I realized, oh, crap, I never had the audio sync to the placeholder tile. So everything that Ben said was just into the ether with nobody listening except me through the headphones. But yeah, that's really cool. It's just, again, like you go and see different things. Like I think like Revenge of the Sith I seen, and I noticed something last time. I was like, was that Palpatine looking at the Death Star plans when Anakin walked into his office? What are those holograms? Like, oh crap, I never noticed that before. So, but even the behind the scenes stuff like that is really fun. Yeah, I mean, the Star Wars universe is known to be the lived in universe. So to have the dirty, grimy stuff, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you're in a desert and you've been living there for like 20 years at that point. You're going to expect yourself to be a little shriveled and disheveled and whatnot. So that's really cool.
Oh yeah. It was great getting like those little tidbits like that. I mean, heck, even another like quick little one was the whole blue milk thing. That actually wasn't cow's milk because in that area, like they didn't like sell cow's milk in like Tunisia for whatever, like, beliefs and things. So they actually made Mark drink. What was it? It was something odd. It was like lamb milk. Oh no, it was goat milk. That's what it was. It was goat milk. And I was like, oh man, that's like such a not regular thing that I know people have like goat cheese and stuff, but they, just dyed goat milk blue. And that's what that was.
So there you go, Disney parks. You got to start using goat milk dyed blue in your drinks at Batu.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, how's it going, Milton? How's everything on your neck of the woods?
Everything's going well. Things are great. Time's flying when you're having fun. I know that's corny, but, when it's busy season, like, you just kind of lose time. So, other than that, though, I'm good. Just ready to get into some Star Wars talk. I actually just finished watching the Tales episodes before the podcast started, so they're very fresh in my mind.
Oh, heck yeah, because I was just telling Ben, I unfortunately have not got a chance to see them again. So since it was at the beginning of the month, I'm not going to have the most photographic memory of those episodes, so you'll probably lead the charge for most of us here tonight for explaining the nuances of some of the stuff, because I kind of forgot, and it's part of the idea of why does Disney put out this stuff when there's Andor out? Like, come on, guys. I get you wanted to have something out there for the fans on May the 4th, but you really didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, I get it though. All right, so I mean, my simple thing was, hey, I went to the game store, And I used the Ewoks for the first time with Star Wars Legion. There was like 40 something Ewoks on the table, charging speeder bikes with my ATST that's commandeered by Chewbacca running around. So it was very thematic battle, even though we were playing on a map that was like from a Marvel game. So there's like the streets with like X-Wings on them. So that was quite interesting there. But yeah, I just want to kind of cut to the chase. So we do have a podcast audio stream, so you can go ahead and find us just by searching Outer Rim Transmission on any of your podcast streaming apps, such as Spotify, Apple Music, all those good places there. And then we're always live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can go ahead and you chat just like Small Bento Sakura is doing in the chat right now. Be a part of the conversation. It's really, really awesome stuff there. As far as the releases for this week, we have not Jedi Knights. We have the High Republic Adventures issue number 18 getting near the end of that series. We also had the High Republic Fear of the Jedi issue number 4 or 5 also getting close to the end of that, as well as the Kylo Ren centric comic called Legacy of Vader issue 4 as well. For that one are out. I have my review on the channel, as well as my discussion with Matthew Neugebauer over on the Star Wars Underworld channel on the Tractor Beam that we go live every Wednesday talking about that stuff. So with that being said and done and out of the way, I'll throw it over to Ben. We've had a disturbance in the Force all over social media the last few days. People have been just exclaiming their love for Battlefront 2 from 2017. I don't know how this started or how it started to snowball in effect, but dude, it got so crazy that they somehow smashed their ongoing Steam user record well after the fact that this game even coming out in the first place. So that to me is just like, what's going on? Like, we even have Will, what is the actor named Will from Andor. Willman, forget the last Pac or something like that. Even Iden Versio, Janita Gavankar came out in support. Just pretty much like all the voice actors at this point from Battlefront 2 have kept the train going. So I'm going to throw it over to you. First of all, have you played Battlefront 2 in the last, I don't know, couple months in general?
The last time I played, I mean, it was more than that. It was probably the last summer, the last time I played it. Played the 2017 one. But yeah, I've seen all the buzz about it and everything. I mean, I've seen it everywhere. Like, I mean, heck, even like big media accounts like discussing film, they were posting about like the surge for Battlefront, like coming back and stuff. And yeah, you know, I was reading about like it you know, being its most recurring users. Like, it was close to 77 or 7,800 users recurring now, versus, you know, before it was the most, because I think the number I've seen, it was the most recurring users since like 2022 actually, which is crazy because 2022 was, you know, 5 years after the game versus 8 years. So it's an interesting time right now for Star Wars. I think a lot of it has to do with you know, people enjoy the Battlefront franchise, no matter, even though like they had its issues with the EA game and stuff. But the thing is, I think at the end of the day, people still just love being able to hop into Star Wars, go and run around a planet and play as whatever characters. And I think that really has that like community going. And then, just in general buzz about Star Wars lately because there's a new show on. There was anyways with Andor, and it was the month of May, and on top of that, it was Revenge of the Sith. So you're having people wanting to play either against the Empire or as clone troopers versus droids or whatever. So I think it was kind of like the perfect storm, and hopefully this dominoes into a third game.
Yeah, that's the big thing on everybody's mind. That's what everybody's campaigning for, of course, is a Battlefront 3. There's history with this. Battlefront 2 back in 2005. We need Mando in Battlefront. Yeah, seriously, it's unbelievable. Like, there's mock-up fan art all over the place of, like, new title screens with Ahsoka, Mando, and somebody else on there. But, like, the problem with Battlefront 3 is DICE did Battlefront 2, and that team is basically dissolved. Most of that team went to work on Battlefield, which is like the modern shooter, like Call of Duty competitor, and then the others just straight up left to join indie companies and whatever. So like everybody's dissolved, everybody's all over the place. And what I was telling you, Ben, was like the idea that EA would ever even try to make another game after the fiasco, that it was their fault in the first place. It's not like nobody wanted this game. It's just gamers are very vocal. When they find out that there's some horrendous tactics like pay to win, they will come out in force and just boycott the hell out of your game and just drive the sales to a screeching halt, which is exactly what they did. So, like, now it's funny though, because like at the time people seemed to hate Battlefront 2. Like that was the biggest joke, man. Like people were just going on and on about Battlefront 2. And now people have turned a corner, kind of the same way that people turned a corner on the prequels. Like it took them almost 10 years or so for people to really get into the prequels again. And now we're at the same point with Battlefront 2 where, I'll be honest with you, it is borderline annoying for me. As somebody that loves all the current Star Wars games, I really liked Squadrons, obviously the Jedi games. Milton's playing through them. Some of the best Star Wars games, period. Not just from Lucasfilm recently, but period. Some of the best Star Wars games from Respawn over there. And then you have things like Outlaws, which are not perfect games by any means, but it's still a fun exploration of a different part of the Star Wars galaxy. And then you have the upcoming game called Star Wars Zero Company, which was announced in Celebration. That's where that stems up. Is I'm really hyped for Zero Company. But guess what? Every time I look on like the forums or the trailer, like all I'm seeing are people saying, screw this, give me Battlefront 3. I'm like, why can't we have both? Like, don't put down the thing now. Like, you could have multiple teams. Like, obviously, these guys are making a tactics game. You're not going to have the tactics game being, making a Battlefront game. You could have multiple projects going on at the same time, guys.
It's because I think the big reason why it just comes down to this. I mean, it's really simple, and I'm sure Milton, you can attest to this too. I think a lot of this has to do with they keep releasing all these single player games, and people, if you think about it, Battlefront is like such a massive online multiplayer community. You're hopping into Battlefront not really to play the campaign. I mean, the campaign was great and everything. I really did enjoy the campaign of the freaking game. But you're hopping in so you can load into a party with your friends and go battle some droids or whatever. Like, and I think that's what Star Wars is missing right now, is a massive online multiplayer, like shoot 'em up game like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why. Like, what do you think about that, Milton?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the backlash from the first game. Yep. Honestly, I think the original release of Battlefront 2 had a lot of people who felt kind of betrayed with all the weird microtransactions. You remember that? Like, people were not happy with the first game because of that. And I'm one of the fans of the second game. I preferred Battlefront 2 over 1 because they had the story mode. Because I remember distinctly people were upset by the first game because there was no story. Yep. Because how they marketed that game, they made it seem like, we're going to get a whole completely badass story. It's going to fill in the gaps of, obviously what happened after Return of the Jedi or whatnot. We never got that. So the Battlefront story really was the one that we got, where we're like, okay, they're going to put the campaign, because that's why I bought it. So I think now with this resurgence of Battlefront 2 and people pushing for 3, I think it has a lot to do with the original fallout of the first game, but also the games that have been released since then that hasn't been consistently great, besides obviously Star Wars Fallen Order and Survivor. I think now people realize, oh wait, Battlefront 2 was actually pretty solid. It's a good quality game as we're looking back on it. Kind of like looking back at this reminds me of when The Force Unleashed 2 came out, that kind of got some hate. But now people look at that game and say, oh wow, The Force Unleashed 2 is actually great. I'd love to see 3 be finished because that's a great story that was told. So I see those comparisons there. But like I said, hopefully Lucasfilm, knows where their bread is buttered and go with the franchise that's familiar, because people still love these games. I mean, hell, they love the old ones and they still play them. So you might as well just give us something that we're familiar with, but also something that's new.
Yeah, remember when they put out the package, I think it was last year, of Battlefront the old ones and how much of a travesty those were. Like they tried to remaster the games and they end up breaking the game somehow. They end up breaking the OG Battlefront games to the point where I couldn't even play it. I was like, the most simplistic quality of life thing that's been in every video game since like the PlayStation 1 era. Like, oh, I can't invert my sticks. Screw you. I'm gonna get a refund on the game. Like, guys, that's the easiest thing to do. And that's why I don't like Aspyr. I'm sure they have great devs over there, but I mean, a lot of the times the quality of their game ports is just not up to snuff. But getting back to like the current Battlefront, yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're right, Ben. You're right. Why don't we have? It seems like the right, perfect thing. Like you could have an ongoing game that could have been Battlefront 2 this entire time. You could have just keep
ongoing live
updated.
service. So what's it called? I forget. Live service games.
Yeah,
is that what they're called? Yeah.
Yeah, instead you have them trying to do mobile games that fail. Freaking Hunters. Like they tried to do the multiplayer game. They should have just started on the console from the first place with that. But yeah, and then I still jump in. Like they're in the middle of the Star Wars Fortnite season, and I was jumping in there yesterday and having a blast. Like they keep updating that game, and the latest thing they did was they added Mandalorian custom skins, and then they added Mandalorian jetpacks into the map, so you can literally fly around the maps with the jetpacks. You can get the Amblin rifle, which allows you to it's like the Mando rifle from the season 1. You could look through walls, and you can see people infrared. Like they're doing such amazing stuff in Fortnite that I don't think people really pay attention to because it's Fortnite. But imagine all that care and respect put into a straight up Star Wars only game. You know what I mean? Like you're right. It seems like a missed opportunity. And the problem is the way that people want this to happen. It's like they think this campaign is going to happen, and they're going to announce the game is going to come out tomorrow. Like games like that, especially. First of all, they got to put a team together. Then they probably have to do a custom engine because it's probably not going to be from EA again. So we're looking at 6 years down the road if they just start looking at these results now and say, okay, let's put this developer on it. It's going to take the next console generation to even see this game if it happens.
Yep. Yeah, that's the only thing with something like this. It's not like a movie where you can, I don't know, what's an example, like say campaigning, say Solo 2 worked. If that worked, we would have had a movie in 2.5 years versus, a game minimum, you're talking 5 minimum. So it's I mean, hopefully they announce it at some point. That would be nice. Hey, and here's an idea too, Chris, even though I don't like the show. Why not for the cover to hit all eras? They should do the cover. It should be Ahsoka, and then Mando in the middle, and then Andor on the right of him for the 3 characters on the cover. Or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't think. Oh, you know what? Jyn Erso, she was in the first game as a hero, but they never brought her back. Same thing with Krennic. He was in the first Battlefront.
That's what I was thinking too. I thought Krennic was in one of the games.
But they also made an incredible Scarif map for Battlefront 2. And that's what really pisses me off because they had this whole big slow down part in the development of the game. Once the game was launched, it was kind of almost like DOA for a lot of people. Oh, I'm not going to touch this. But they had a resurgence themselves, and they started doing the Clone Wars content. And then they did this mode called Supremacy. Did you ever get to play that, either of you guys? Did you ever play the Supremacy mode where it's to capture the points and all that?
My cousin.
Yeah. I actually so speaking of all this, I booted up the Series X and I was playing it last night, and as I sent you guys the picture or the message, oh crap, I don't have Game Pass right now. I can't even play online. But then I realized oh yeah, you could play offline, and it's so fun because you could just modify the game types, what factions you want, what planet you want, and I put everything to expert level, and I put everything to long duration match, and I was spending 30 minutes just going around on Camino just blasting droids, and let me tell you, I was having a blast. The game is a sound game. It's actually very polished. They haven't updated it in literally years, but it still works pretty well. And just running around there, and the AI on your team is really good. I was running around as a clone commando, following Obi-Wan and Anakin as they're just slicing through droids left and right. And then I was coming across Bosk, I was coming across Grievous, Dooku. and it was like horrifying. I'm like running away from Grievous, and he's just killing me. I'm like, this is actually really freaking fun. Like, and that's what I'm happy that Battlefront 2, before they ended the support, would at least put the offline mode for people like me that are like, I don't want to pay for Game Pass right now, but I can still play the game. And there's actually a co-op mode. Like me and my girlfriend, I remember, played like the split screen couch co-op on Supremacy. Like that was a whole lot of fun too. So yeah. So
I mean, it was always a good time playing that mode. That was probably my favorite mode when I was consistently playing it, just because, it was nice hopping into a match and have a nice, good long match where you want to get killed where you want to, want to end in like 6 minutes or 7 minutes or something short.
yeah.
Because I had that issue over the years. Like sometimes with Halo, like you'd load in online and like you're in for like 5-10 minutes and the game would be over and you'd be like, well, that was quick.
Yeah.
So like it's nice that that Supremacy mode, like those matches, they could last. I mean, heck, some of them could last like 45 minutes depending on like how the game was going and stuff. Like they would last a long time. So it was always a good time, and it really felt like, to me, that mode too, it really like made it like the immersion of Star Wars a bit better, because you're actually there for a while versus like a quick time.
Yeah, and I was like flipping in between first person and third person, and I'm like, wow, like they made a robust game when they made this. Like the features in Battlefront 2 were so fleshed out. Like you have the aerial mode, you have like the co-op mode, you have smaller modes, and I was playing miniature games yesterday with the Ewoks, and I was telling my friend I was playing against, I was like, oh yeah, the Ewok hunt mode, because I was attacking his guys out of nowhere, and I was telling him all about like, oh yeah, that's terrifying when you were running around as stormtroopers with the flashlights and your flashlight would run out, and then the Ewoks would jump at you and just do a jump scare, and you'd like jump out of your seat and make the creepy noises as they're following you, and it's like, oh my gosh, that was a brilliant mode. So many good memories from the game. So let us know in the comment section down below. Did you play Battlefront 2 with the recent resurgence? What were your thoughts of it? Let us know in the comment section down below. Getting into our main topic of the evening. As I said before, on May the 4th, Lucasfilm gifted us with not one, not two, but 3 new Star Wars episodes, and they were Tales of the Underworld. So we are talking about the first 3 on Disney+, all Asajj Ventress focused, a way forward, friends, and one warrior to another. I'll start off this convo simply by telling you my weird way of watching these. So, as I mentioned before, they did show us the first episode at Celebration during the 20th anniversary panel. Same panel where they showed us the trailer for Maul, Shadow Lockdown. So it's always fun watching new Star Wars with a big audience there, getting the inside baseball look. And we all know like the little Easter eggs and the characters very well. So getting reactions from everybody watching that was also really, really fun. And then, as I mentioned, a couple short weeks later, they decided to put these episodes out early. For those of you that have Fortnite, you could jump into a special game mode where it was literally just a giant screen TV. You could watch the first 2 episodes like 3 days before they actually hit Disney+. So that was a really interesting experience running around. And they would have it on like smaller little TVs, like, because you're basically in Mos Eisley.
I actually did do that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I went on a party with my cousin, and we went and did that and walked all around and watched them on there when they were out and stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was. I really hope Star Wars, like, this is like a little aside for maybe a topic for another day, but I hope they partner with Fortnite more to premiere things like that, because like that'd be really cool. If heck, they should just do that for every series. Like, just be like, hey, just if you want to watch Star Wars, log into Fortnite and go to the cantina and check it out.
Yeah, that was so fun. I was literally in the canteen at one point, sitting on a stool, just watching these episodes from like on screen. I felt like I was in a bar. It felt like something I would do in real life. Just like, oh, what's on TV? Oh, this big game is playing. Okay, cool. Who's gonna win? That kind of thing. So basically, I watched the first episode twice, second episode once while watching inside of a video game. And then the third episode I actually watched on May the 4th. And then there you go. So that was my weird machete order of like watching the episodes from a certain point of view. So I'll start it off, well, since I'm already talking, obviously, but like the thing that jumped out to me, Milton, was how they opened up the first episode. We're talking about Asajj Ventress. A lot of the fans probably didn't even know that she died if they didn't read the Dark Disciple book. They're probably wondering.
Right.
I had a couple friends asking me, like, why is she like dead? What's going on here? So I'll throw it over to you. This was the closest we've ever come to like doing a book straight up adaptation in an animated series. So what was your thought on that? First of all, I don't even know if you read Dark Disciple or not.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've read it. I don't remember too much of it. I just remember like spoilers, like the Jedi Council sends Quinlan Voss on like a secret mission to assassinate Dooku. And like obviously he literally hooks up with Asajj Ventress and falls in love with her, and like they both fall for each other. And doesn't he kind of go to the dark side at some point and pull himself out of it?
It's a dark
story.
Yeah,
it's been a minute since I read the book, so like I'll have to go back and get refreshed. But because I was actually explaining that to my fiance today, because she watched some of the episodes with me, kinda. But yeah, it was interesting to see him and Obi-Wan together, putting her in the pool of Dathomir. And what's crazy is this past weekend, this past week, I've been rewatching the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Oh.
And literally, like when they get to the path, like he says, "Oh, Quinlan was here," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I've been watching this all week." So it kind of makes sense now. I'm actually watching these shows, and they tie in the path and the Quinlan, which I didn't realize he started the path. It was his creation.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
This first episode, no, it was a banger. I really enjoyed it. Like I've always said, the animation for Star Wars is never a miss. Like they do a really good job with these series. Now, obviously, I think of the series thus far, Tales of the Underworld is the weakest, honestly. But this episode in particular was really, really strong. I really enjoyed the opening. I loved how they showed, Ventress and what she's done after she's been revived. And obviously her making that connection with that kid and seeing their relationship form over the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, well put. I was feeling the same way, Milton. When I finished watching that episode, I think I messaged you guys like I was hyped. I was like, "Oh man, this story's going really good direction." Like we the hardcore fans ever since Obi-Wan, like when they mentioned Quinlan, we're like, we need a series on the path. We need something on the path, and they're giving us like these breadcrumbs in this series, going, "Oh man, we're gonna get into the path." Well, stuff to say, we didn't really do anything of that, and that's part of the reason why I hated this. Not hated it, but like. I feel like I got bait and switch, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, no, I agree. Like this was cool. It's always nice to like see like, okay, she's an interesting character because she's not a Jedi per se. So when Order 66 happens, like where was she? Like what was happening? Like are clones trying to kill her because she wasn't a commander of the Republic. So she's out there on her own. The Empire's still alive and well, and it's cool to just see her laying low, doing some job for this person. Like I like to learn like how these different force sensitive people have gotten through living through like the worst time to be a Jedi with the Empire around. So Ben, what'd you think about this? I guess this first opening salvo of what Asajj is doing and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first episode was relatively good. I enjoyed the opening to it just because like the connection to Dark Disciple. And I thought that was good. And, it especially... They had to do something like this because of all the stuff that happened in Bad Batch with Asajj. Like, they had to kind of retroactively go back and, like, make something of her coming back to life because, the end of Dark Disciple is, like, implied, but it's not confirmed. But, so, like, you have to go and, like, fill in the gaps of pretty much a pseudo-retcon in Bad Batch. So I think it's good how they did it, and I really liked that it's like Quinlan Voss and the path and everything. Like I like that a lot, and I think this episode was a good. I think it's could be argued as maybe the second or first best of these 3, just because I just thought it was a really tight, good episode. Like you mentioned, Milton. Like the opening was good, and between was good. Even the ending was good, where she like says who she is. I think it was a nice, tight episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just jumping. I mean, we don't have to talk exactly like episode by episode. Milton can, because you just watched the episodes. I'm still a little rusty on them. As far as the second episode is concerned, with that being said, like I did really enjoy the action in the second episode. Milton, as you're also somebody playing through the Jedi games, I don't know. This gave me strong Jedi Fallen Order vibes, Jedi Survivor vibes. It's like, okay, they're going on a mission. The Empire is kind of there, and they're trying to get something. And it's interesting because you look at like the background of this planet. There's vendors, but they're also building Star Destroyers at the same time. So it kind of shows you that this Empire's still in the early stages because they got the Imperial class that's being made. So I like little tidbits like that. But this one was fun too because there is that whole like moment at the end where their bounty hunter or the mission gets kind of changed. They want to cash in on her with the droid. So I like that little change there at the end where it's like, okay, stakes are higher now because now this person is switching sides all of a sudden. So that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I felt of the 3 episodes, this had the best action. I enjoyed what they were trying to do, and you're right. It definitely it was interesting to see how the scale of the show looked, and I actually really enjoyed the animation in this episode a lot. I don't know what took me. I think when they first got to that planet to find that quote unquote friend of hers, like the way they animated that and lit it up, it was very fascinating, and it looked very real, in a sense of how they were fighting that big, I guess, alien or whatnot. But yeah, like of the episodes, this is probably the second best episode of the entire first trilogy of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love it kind of reminded me of Indiana Jones with that big ball that they were trying to get the
Oh yeah.
little, yeah, because remember how like he's climbing up, he reaches for it, gets it, and as he pulls it, like things starts going to hell, and then of course that ball's rolling, and the plan gets shifted. So it reminded me of Indiana Jones a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, it's not surprising to have the bounty hunter friend decide to shift the plan and turn on Ventress, which was very fascinating, but also made sense story wise.
Yeah, Ben, what's your thought on this? I don't know if we want to call him a partner or an apprentice at this point. The character with the blue lightsaber.
Yeah, I was interested to see if it was going to turn out to be just anybody of note, or any
I
apprentice of
know.
note. Like that's what I was wondering when I first watched it, or I that's what I was really wondering.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought like the whole relationship with him and Asajj was good, and it progressed well. Like that is one thing. Like these episodes, as Milton mentioned, Tales of the Underworld is probably the weakest of these Tales shows, but I think through these episodes, they did a good job of building a reluctant friendship between Asajj and him.
Right.
Like they did a really nice job with that, I think. And, I think that's going to progress for sure to future stories based on the way it ended. So I think it was done really well. And they didn't go over the top either with making him like a bumbling apprentice, I don't know, like if Jar Jar from Phantom Menace was in there or something. Like, they didn't go like that route, which was nice. But because they could have easily done something like that where you had this guy getting into like pretty much the underworld, I guess, of Star Wars, and like making all kinds of like crazy, just dumb mistakes and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. As far as the character, I thought he might be like Corran Horn.
Yep.
Because we know in Obi-Wan there was that kid that
Confirming the credits.
Oh really?
And Kenobi, yeah, it's listed as Corran Horn.
Oh my
I get it.
gosh. Okay. Well, yeah, it kind of looks like him, right? So I was wondering. I was like, yeah. So that second episode, I think we all agree, pretty good stuff. Now my problem comes with the third episode. There's good stuff in that third episode, but I'm looking at my watch, going like, when are we going to see the path? Like this is a huge deal. How are we like 8-9 minutes into this 15-minute episode? We haven't seen the path yet. Like, why are we going on a side quest here, guys? Like, really, we're going on a side quest to get water? Like, this is something you do in a 22-minute episode. It's part of a 4-episode arc. You're not doing this for an important 3-episode thing. So I got really annoyed by that because I'm like, this just is like seems way out of place right now. Like, why are we doing a side quest? And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, you got new character, like new alien designs and all. It's a fun like race romp on the speeders and whatnot. The biggest part for me that I liked about the episode was with the old separatist guy, and how he had the prejudices against the Jedi kid and all that sort of thing. So that was something cool to explore, because we often look at separatists as like Nemoidians or like these other devious looking aliens that are supposed to look like evil, whereas this is just like a normal like dude that is a humanoid, that's a human, and he's got the kid, and it's just like you show like the old guy like living on a farm, and he's just like, get off my lawn kind of guy and all that sort of thing. So I like that in Star Wars. I thought that was a good nuance and a good exploration for something in such a small episode. What'd you think about this part, Milton?
Yeah, it made sense. I mean, it was, again, he's a former separatist, a leader who clearly recognized who Asajj Ventress was, and you can clearly see that he was. I mean, there's post-traumatic stress that they were showing throughout how he was communicating, in the sense of like, well, especially at the end when he fought the Raiders, he's like, hey, like they're evil or they're gross, and Asajj's like, you've been fighting way too long, that's why you can't see no other way. So that's post-traumatic stress. But also for him to react and saying that, like, that you guys betrayed me by bringing these Raiders here. She's like, no, like, there's no need to fight at this point. Like, our fight's done. So I was curious to see how his reaction was as a former separatist, and you see the effect that both this Clone War had on the separatists, but also on the Republic. I mean, because she's like, both sides were wrong. And clearly, like, both sides were being played, and it's unfortunate that, not one side is good or evil, and these people were just stuck in the middle. And that's what I took away from this character. He's like, yes, I used to be in the military and, a former separatist, but this guy's broken, just like anyone would be while they're, former like military heads or, part of some type of war.
Yeah, no, it's this is why I like this a lot, is just getting into that whole thing. Ben, throwing it over to you. What are your thoughts on this old separatist guy?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like at first when we were going to his place and everything and all this stuff, like I was like, oh man, is this going to be like our stepping stone to to the path and stuff? Like, so I was just like kind of like you, Chris. I was like looking at the time, like, okay, let's get to the path, and you know how it played out. And like, I guess my thing is, yeah, I mean, they did a good job. Like, if this wasn't part of a limited 3-episode being the finale of the 3 series, I think it would have been a really good part of, like, for example, like Clone Wars. Like, imagine if this was like, say in the old days when Clone Wars was like 24 episodes. This was episode like 14 or so of Clone Wars. It'd be a really good episode, I think. A good, good resolution and whatnot. But I think since, I think like his character and like the whole squabble with the Raiders and everything, I just think a lot of it, it just, I guess, I don't know. I guess our expectations were the path, and like there, as the creatives' expectations were just to like tell us this standalone story as like another stepping stone toward the path. So to me, I think this is more, this whole moment with this former separatist guy and I think a lot of this is just like a stepping stone toward a Tales of the Path series.
Yeah. Taking a moment to just talk about, because I think what Milton was really getting me thinking when he was explaining about the whole idealism of the Separatists and the after effects of Clone Wars and all, is really get to see like how far Asajj Ventress has progressed as a character. I mean, you see her in the first movie of the Clone Wars. It's just like a very one-note, mustache trolley villain where it's just like, I'm a bad guy, you're a good guy, I have to kill you kind of thing. Like, there's no nuance, there's no layers, it's just a bloodthirsty killer sent by Dooku. And then as the Clone Wars goes on, you see her become a bounty hunter, and she gets double-crossed by Dooku. And then you see her in the book, and she's kind of like more of the protagonist for the first time. So it's cool now seeing her in this like environment where she would have reacted a completely different way if it was like during the Clone Wars with this character. Right. She would have never taken on an apprentice. Like, that's not her kind of thing. She's very solitary in that regard. So to see how far she's come, this has been a great, and I think that's the purpose of the story. But getting into the elephant in the room of, you know, oh, there's the ship. Look at all those people loading the crates on the ship. Go, little Jedi guy. Like, the mission's complete. Go. And I'm like squinting at the screen going, oh, where's Quinlan? Where's Quinlan? And then he's nowhere to be found. And then they just like walk off into the sunset essentially. And it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because I think it's our expectations. Like, and it's not our fault necessarily, because remember when she showed up in the Bad Batch, we're going, all right, what's her deal? What's she doing? What was the purpose of this? We're looking for her in the remainder of season 3, and she doesn't show up. And then we get the article on StarWars.com saying, hey, we know you guys are waiting for this. She's going to appear in something else. So then when she appears in something else, they start talking about the path. It's like a little bit misleading for me. It's like, wait, the main show, the main thing we really wanted to see doesn't get addressed. So does that mean we have to wait for another series? Like, how often are we going to get, you know, rung around here with this storyline? Because we've, ever since Obi-Wan, we've wanted to see the path, right? Even in the Jedi series, without giving anything away, there is a moment and a plot line that deals with a path type of thing. So, I mean, maybe I'm just an entitled fan that expects too much out of this like little 3-episode short thing, but I can't deny I was disappointed when the credits came and I was like, oh man.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, look, I felt, just like you guys mentioned, the whole, you know, mentioning of the path but not showing it was kind of a cheap cop-out. Like, yeah, it's about Asajj Ventress and her journey, but it's like, you can't name drop the path in Quinlan Voss and not show him or show, like, what that all entails. Like, it was cheap. I felt it didn't really... That third episode did not land the way it should have. I thought it was kind of like, okay, and then like just go on their way. It was kind of honestly not great in my opinion. The ending.
Yeah, I do think though. I mean, who knows? Maybe with all of this, like, maybe we're getting these backstories built out for Asajj, and you know, we'll talk about Kat another probably next week, but. You know, maybe we're getting these backstories built out for these characters more. Obviously, we've known a lot about Cad, but Asajj specifically, I mean, maybe she gets involved in like Ahsoka season 2 or like the Mandoverse eventually, because she would be older, but she would still be around. Because I mean, during Bad Batch, that's only a few years before A New Hope. So then, you know, fast forward another maybe 7 or 8 years, like she could easily be around during the Mando time, and you know. We know Dave likes to pull his own characters for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So like, I could see a point. I mean, maybe you know, that like to me they're building out her redemption through all of this stuff, and maybe you get like a little redemption moment with her and Ahsoka potentially down the road. Like, I just think there's, if it's not going to be a connection to the Mandoverse, then. Like I said, it's got to be a Tales of the Path show. Like that's the only thing I can point to, because I don't think they're going to put her in Shadow Lord just because that show looks like it's going in a completely different direction.
Ooh, no. I mean, yeah. And this is
maybe.
This is my next point, which tangentially affects it. It's like, Maul is the underworld. Asajj Ventress is part of the underworld. Right? So I can see that character transpiring and transferring there. But that's another gripe I have. Why was Asajj Ventress part of something called Tales of the Underworld, where she wasn't really part of the underworld at all in these 3 shorts? Like, she was just dealing with the Empire and like some just like pirates. Like that was like misleading. Like, what?
Well, I just thought of something, guys. Here's an idea to throw out to you both. What about this? So you have Asajj and then this guy from this show. What if they're the, in the Darth Maul sense, what if they're the antagonists in Darth Maul's series to Darth Maul and presumably Darth Talon, his apprentice? Like, what if they're the antagonists for Darth Maul and his apprentice?
Now that I like. Give us basically, this is like the backdoor kind of pilot sort of thing.
Yep.
I would actually love that because it's hard to have, and that's what I keep thinking about when it comes to the Maul Shadow Lord series. And we're going to give it an entire topic because, again, we did not even get to talk about this yet with Andor as soon as I got back from Celebration. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks, everybody. But yeah, how are you going to have a story about a bad guy all the time? Like, you got to have a foil for the bad guy, which would be a good guy in this case. So yeah, and she's a good guy that got redeemed in a sense, so, or a bad guy that got redeemed that dealt with the same people that Maul dealt with, such as Dooku, such as she never really dealt with Palpatine, I guess, specifically, but they both dealt with the different other people involved with Palpatine and the dark side and the Sith to a certain degree. So I love that there. And one other thing about Asajj Ventress, where does this even fall? I was confused, and there's nothing clear about. Does this take place before her appearance in the Bad Batch? After her appearance in the Bad Batch? Like, I know it's kind of like, it's not really necessary to know, but I was scratching my head going, I don't know where this is in the timeline.
I would say, I think this is before.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say at least like, I'd say maybe a couple years like before, because her hair is different, I think, in the Bad Batch. I think so.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like a different color, but I would assume this is her just building up to that point where she's like, okay, fledgely, like embracing who she is.
Yeah, and I love that too. But then the thing that gets me confused is, where's the boy at with her? Like, what's his deal when she's training with Omega? Like, why isn't he with her or something? I don't know. That's where it's kind of hard for me to follow. But it's not that important. But I like to have the pieces set in the timeline. That's just how I am.
I mean, maybe she eventually connects him to the path, and he eventually goes down that route potentially. I do have to say though, you guys, I think Milton was the one that mentioned it earlier. Just the visuals, I think to me, the more and more they improve the animation, like these shows get better and better by whatever the next show is, will always be the best animation they've released. Like it gets better and better and better by the show. And I think to me, the character that looks the best on every iteration is Asajj. Like her character is like kind of like the benchmark for me for if the animation's improving or not. And like if you look at her in Clone Wars to Bad Batch to this, like it's such a stark difference for her character. Just the way her like face looks, the shadows, like everything on her face. Her character looks great in this.
I agree with that point.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys have any other points or topics you want to talk about when it comes to these Asajj Ventress episodes before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, like always, and I told this to my fiance whenever we were watching, I said, Star Wars might have their issues in other realms, but never with the animations. Like, it's rare that the animations are bad. And so just the visuals, the music, the narrative have always been consistently consistent since they've been releasing, whether it's Clone Wars, Tales, Visions, whatever. And that's what I will say is the strongest suit or the strongest thing that Star Wars is pushing as they move forward in their next, iteration of projects. Their animation is so good, and I just love watching them when they were released.
Oh, yeah, right. This is... Hey, guys, we're going to be out without a movie for literally a year. I'm expecting Shadow Lord to be out hopefully at the beginning of next year to kind of like hold the tide for the wait. So hey, this is the kind of point where we rely on the animation when we don't have the live action, and it's not a step down. The animation has a high potential because we've often seen it actually happen where it's up there with the same storylines we see in the films, man. Like you talk about like the ending of the Bad Batch, you talk about the ending of the Clone Wars, Rebels. Like there's some standout moments that even the live action refers to when it comes to like Andor, like, oh yeah, the Mon Mothma episode or the Secret Cargo. Like there's a huge impactful thing. So we're back at that time, right? The live action's off, but hey, this is when we start focusing on the other exceptional storytelling methods of Lucasfilm, including animation here.
I agree.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so for me, I would give this a 6 out of 10. I know it's quite low, but for me, again, the animation will never be the problem. It's the storytelling. And I feel like while we did get a little bit of growth out of Asajj Ventress, I feel like a misleading episode 3 really kind of pulled down the whole series. So I had a docket points for episode 3 because it's like, what are you doing here? Side quests here. This is an important time for side quests. Feel like I was baited and switched a little bit. I might watch these episodes again, but I don't feel a huge pull to watch them again. So that's just kind of my thoughts on them right now. What about you, Milton?
Yeah, I agree in a sense of this definitely wasn't the strongest trilogy of episodes. One and two did a really good job at setting us up. 3 was a drag. I struggled to get through that episode. So for me, this is a good 7.5. I think what helps it stay at about a 7.5 is the animation, it's the music, it's the overall consistent feel of what they utilize. And Asajj Ventress herself is a strong point. So I think that's what pushes it over for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I keep it at a 7.5. And I don't think I would rewatch these, honestly. Like, I tend to go back and watch the tales of the Jedi and Empire more. I don't see myself watching these first 3 episodes of this series at all, or at least on purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Throw it back over to you, Ben. What's your final analysis of these first 3 shorts here?
I mean, that was my exact score as well, Milton. I gave it a 7.5 just because 3rd episode, it just kind of like stepped off a cliff there with that one.
Yep.
Because like, if let's just put it this way, if the 3rd episode was all about the path, yada yada yada, this arc probably would have been a 9.
Yeah.
Yep. Like realistically, but it's a 7.5 because of the 3rd episode specifically. Animation's great, as we said. I do think, as I mentioned earlier, I think to me these episodes just fall in the category of just another 3 arc episode from Clone Wars that's kind of forgettable.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of it that way, but you're right.
Like that's all it is, because Clone Wars has a lot of great highlight moments and amazing stories and sequences and things, but there are some episodes where it's just like, I'm never watching this again.
Yeah.
Or like if I do watch it, it's gonna be like 100 episodes down or something. So I think to me that's where it kind of falls in. It just falls in the category of episodes. If I accidentally click on it, then I guess I may tune in for a few minutes or something. But like, other than that, I'm not going to go back to it because it's just thrown in the bag of miscellaneous episodes I'm not really going to revisit, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And jumping off that point, a friend of mine was explaining it this way. Same sentiments I'm feeling about the episodes, and we're all feeling about the episodes here right now, is like, and everybody works really hard on these. Like, these look great. These look like just top of the line animation. But I just hope that Lucasfilm doesn't get into the track of, hey, let's just for the sake of it release these episodes on May the 4th because we feel like we have to. And then we get stuck with episodes that unfortunately are more subpar just for the sake of Lucasfilm. Go, we have a quota. We want to appease our fans. Just put 3 episodes out, guys, and they'll love them. And then 3 years down the road, we're getting slop that's just like, well,
Here's
we
the
need
question
this?
for you guys. to go off of that, Chris, here's a question for both of you guys. How about instead of getting 6 episodes, however many long episodes these are, every year basically or so, or in that range, would you guys be more accepting if they did an actual show just called, I don't know, Tales of Star Wars, and then release like full blown like Bad Batch, like 16 episodes, and do 16 weeks of episodes? So these 3 episodes would be part of a bigger, wider story versus just a standalone thing that we judge as pretty much like almost like a little mini movie almost. Would you guys be more accepting, say, if we get like a Tales of Star Wars show every 2.5 to 3 years versus 6 episodes every year or every other year?
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't be opposed of it. I mean, I think it depends on what they're focusing. Like, if they said, "Oh, we're going to do a Tales of the Senate for 16 episodes," I'd be like, I don't think that's going to work for me. But no, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the
Well,
politics.
say if it was called Tales of the Underworld, 16 episodes.
Yeah, then that works for me, because I feel like you can tell and very thorough. Like, okay, for example, like the Cad Bane episodes, I think we all can agree are the best ones. So I think if you gave us a 16 season or a 16 episode season of his rise from being that punk kid in the streets to obviously how it ends in this the episode of how he ends with the sheriff, then sure, I'd watch that, because I'm like, oh, that's dope. We're seeing his life story of how he became who he became. That works for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just all about give us quality. Don't feel like you have to hit a quota for the heck of a quota. If you can improve the quality and delay it for 6 months just to make sure the story is really hitting hard and impactful, I'd rather it be done that way. So we'll see about next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's my thing. I hope a couple things. This is inevitable. They're going to do another Tales eventually. I think they should focus on either the Old Republic or the High Republic for their next Tales. Imagine Tales of like, I don't know, Tales of the Old Republic, and they show like something of like, all right, Plagueis, Bane, and let's say whatever. I mean, you can word it whatever, but like, you imagine getting those characters. We haven't seen them in animation yet. That'd be kind of dope.
Well, Milton, bouncing off of your idea, that's an idea. Chris, how would you feel about this if it was, since High Republic's ending, how would you feel after it's wrapped, if they did a Tales of the High Republic show and started to adapt some of the book material into shows for you? Like, say you get 6 episodes of the High Republic.
Man, I would lose my freaking mind, man, because if we got like the Battle of the Velo Fair, or the Night of Sorrows, or the Battle of Jeddah, like I'm name dropping like huge moments in those books that are all out war, multiple Jedi dying, and crazy ass freakish characters and marauders with these gas masks gassing people to death. Like, there's some crazy stuff in those books, and if they brought it to life for like more people that are like to watch and experience, I would love it. But here's my problem with the Tales series. Right now, it seems like Dave Filoni is the only person that's touching anything with it, because I know it was his idea. He's writing the stories on a napkin going between LA and San Francisco. That's how the story goes. He always tells it like, these are just little doodles I do and little ideas I have as I'm just bored, basically. But every character in these shorts is something that's from the Clone Wars, basically, or from the Mandalorian. So my only worry is that like he's going to be in complete control. So he would never do the High Republic because he has no idea. He has not no idea, but he doesn't have any of his fingers involved with those projects. And this was announced for season 2, Tales of the Empire or something. Somebody was saying like he was eventually going to hand over the keys to help other new people learn about this stuff. Like, he even said that at Celebration, like he's trying to be like the George Lucas to him back in the past. Like, he's trying to start to show the next generation of people at Lucasfilm to start doing these stories. So as much as I love Dave Filoni and his characters, I really hope that the next season he like lets somebody else play with the playground, because I mean, eventually you are going to run out of Dave Filoni characters anyway. But I would like to see something that is new, that is not Old Republic, that is in the High Republic. Heck, I would love to see somebody playing around with a Tales of the Rebellion, having Vel, having Clea, doing something like that would be freaking awesome. OT stuff. So those are my thoughts on it.
Well, I'm about to say you're right. I think we honestly, like, what true animation, seriously, besides I guess the Resistance, have we seen like Luke, Han, Leia, Vale, Mon Mothma? We got in Bail Organa a little bit, I think, at some point. Like I'd want to see, like the Kylo Rens and the Reys and those guys in an animation. Like that'd be kind of dope. Yeah, I think that could work. And as for like mini tales of like the Old Republic, guys, we've already gotten it. Look at the cinematics that they did for the Old Republic game. Those are dope.
They tell a good story.
Those are fire.
Yep.
So good. I watch those all the time. Like, you can tell those stories instead of doing a 5-minute clip. Give us a 15, 20-minute clip. Just expand like Bastila and Malgus and all those guys back. Like, come on, man. Like, that'd be dope. Or Satine. Like, that'd be how dope would that be to get her story?
Oh, it would. It would. I think also another one, Chris, this is one you might like since you read so many of the books. My buddy Star Wars Santa, he's always pushing for we should get a Tales of the Chiss series and get the whole what are the newer Yuuzhan Vongs?
Oh, the good old Grist.
Yeah, like he's like, we should get a Tales of the Chiss and like get those things introduced like on screen, so then they might get some momentum to like be a threat eventually in live action. Oh my
gosh, yeah, I'm so disappointed that Lucasfilm has not done anything with those characters yet, Milton, because there's a 3-book trilogy that Thrawn did called the Ascendancy trilogy, and it's literally about Thrawn, and it fleshes out everything about the unknown regions that you need to know. All these different factions, the Chiss, like their hierarchy and how they move, and there are different factions within like the political, the military aspect. Like Thrawn did so much heavy lifting, and like Lucasfilm just left everything on the cutting room floor. Like they're not doing anything with it. I'm like, guys, like, why do you treat like Zahn like he's like the black sheep right now? Like, just let.
Which is goofy.
Because he has good stories.
Yeah, about to say that's some goofy type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're telling me, old boy created one of the greatest characters with the blessing of the maker himself, and you don't include him on the process? Like that makes no sense.
Yeah, there's a whole nother thing I could talk about when it comes to Zahn. Like he goes to all conventions but the official Star Wars one, so maybe there's some
travesty.
There's some friction there, I think, between the two parties. Of there's things I've heard which I won't repeat on this podcast about little things I've heard. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen with those guys getting back together. We'll see. But on that note, another great free-flow discussion here on Outer Rim Transmission this week. Again, we're going to be talking about the Cad Bane episodes. You heard some little insight about what Milton might be talking about next week. I haven't voiced my opinion officially yet. Neither has Ben, so you're going to have to wait in suspense for 7 days' time to see if we like these better or worse than the current ones we're talking about tonight. But I'm going to throw it over to Milton. Where can the people find you online?
Yeah, people can find me on X at Milton Weber 7 or Instagram at Milton 7 Weber. Hit me up. We'll talk Star Wars, sports, life, music, movies, whatever. Keep it positive. Keep it fun.
There you go. Over to Ben.
Yeah, you can find me on X and Instagram talking Star Wars, fitness, and everything in between at Real Ben Maynard. And also, just wanted to throw out there one more bonus thing about Asajj. I seen a little interview from the actress that plays her. She said, of course, she can't play Asajj since she's a bit older now, like in her upper 40s or whatever, and she doesn't have the look for her. And she said her ideal casting for Ventress would be Angelina Jolie, actually. So I just wanted to throw that little fan casting from the actual actress herself.
Ha! That's great. I mean, we already have the guy from Barbie, gosh, I just blanked on his name. Ryan Gosling is now going to be in Star Wars. We're getting this huge superstars back in Star Wars again for main characters at least. So hey, why not at this point? If Disney shows up with the money, she'll probably do it. So that how that talks. But oh, that's fun. Nika Futterman, I believe is
Yep.
Asajj Ventress' actress's name. Yeah. So and I think she's also maybe done some voices in the Old Republic game. So that's pretty cool. And as far as for me, you guys know where to find me. If you're watching the video on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. And go ahead and listen to us on audio format if that's more your speed. Search Outer Rim Transmission, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, any other ones. We're on there. So just go ahead and also rate us if you can on those platforms as well. On the channel, I am just keeping steady with some Star Wars reviews coming down the pipe. I have lots of book reviews in the last month, lots of comic book reviews as always. So go ahead, check out the stuff. Maybe leave a comment as well. Let me know how you're feeling about the content. So until next time, this was episode 197 of Outer Rim Transmission. For Milton, for Ben, for Chris, aka Starrapter. That's gonna do it for us here on the podcast for this week. Thanks for watching. May the Force be with you always. In transmission.